Okay. Now we can talk.
Go ahead, Sam. This is Car Policy episode number 7.
Cool. And the question I wanted to ask the both of you is, what has been the most memorable experience you've ever had at a card shop?
At a card shop.
At a card shop. Throughout the entirety of collecting, all the card shops we've been to over the last many, many years, what has been the most memorable moment or experience you've had at a shop? And it may not be the most, because I know you have, I'm sure, a lot of examples, but can you pick one?
The greatest memory?
If you can, yeah.
Most memorable or greatest?
Great.
Happiest, most fun, most impactful?
Yeah, absolutely. Any of those guys.
You
got nothing?
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
Man, I've had, actually, there were about 4 that popped in my head. Mm-hmm. You know, like Sam and I have probably been to...
I can't even
guess.
count.
Just take a guess. Like, what's the first number that popped in your head?
100.
100
across the country.
100 across the country.
That sounds fair.
I think I've probably been to 200, maybe.
Mm. That's true, because there's been a lot of time that we've been apart.
Well, I'm taking into account the ones that I went to over the last 12 years.
And as I'm saying, there's been a lot of time we've been apart.
And and I would say probably 200 card shops. And the most memorable, the first one that popped in my head was the one in Brooklyn.
With the hockey player guys?
Yeah, those guys. Well,
you went to a hockey game.
Yeah. I watched a hockey game with these guys. What it was is I was flying into, so this is kind of funny story, little confession as well, is so this was like 2009. I'd just gotten the acceptance to Cambridge. But my family had moved to Germany, and so they were living in Bavaria, like my parents, and my sister was also was moving out to Germany, and then going to Cambridge as well in England, which was a total coincidence that my sister and I were both got acceptances to Cambridge the very same year for totally different programs. And so I'm in Germany, and it's to get a student visa into Cambridge, you have to actually get like a biometric, like thumbprints. They had just changed the law that year. And so before then, you could just apply for your visa and you would get it from wherever. But because I'd been spending the last few months in Germany, they wouldn't issue me a visa. And in fact, I went to these visa places in Germany, and they told me everything was totally fine. I was fine. I was going to be able to get my student visa, and they kept pushing it out. And all of a sudden, school had started. So I hadn't delayed getting my visa. I'd actually started well in advance, but going through the German system, because they had changed the law in England, was taking a lot longer. So I ended up realizing, okay, I'm screwed here. I can't just go fly to New York. I'm going to just enter, and I'm going to go and attend orientation at Cambridge on a tourist visa. So I entered England with a tourist visa so that I could attend my first week of school and go and do all the orientations. And I was like, that's how everyone has, done it that's had these kind of visa issues, is do it on a tourist visa. And so I go rolling into Cambridge, start my classes, and about 2 weeks in, I get a message from the business school saying that there's a serious issue, that I've entered on a tourist visa. Apparently somebody in the registrar's office at my college had kind of ratted me out to the home office.
He's like, hey, you got to go to this card shop in New York. That's what he was saying, right?
Yeah. No, I'm telling the long version of the story. Somebody that was watching told us, we can tell long stories.
Go on.
And so,
but you got ratted out.
So I got ratted out, and so I actually was told that I was going to be deported from the UK for the next 10 years because I had entered on a tourist visa, and even though I was going to school, and it was this whole disaster, and so the business school was like, you're going to have a real issue. They're probably going to deport you. And I was like, well, what if I go to New York right now and get my thumbprints? All you have to do is get your fingerprints done at a biometrics lab in Brooklyn. And so sure enough, I jumped on the next plane to New York City, went to Brooklyn, and ran in, did my biometrics, and And while I was there, I was like, man, I wonder if I can hit up a couple card shops since I'm in New York. I was just, really getting back into collecting.
And there was nothing over in the UK, right?
Yeah, there was nothing, nothing like it. And so there was all these packs I wanted to buy. I didn't really have any money. I was, a poor student who was living off student loans. And so I was just like, well, I'd booked myself a flight to just come into New York City to do the biometric testing and then get the visa issued and go right back to England. So it was like just this quick turnaround. And I realized I had a short amount of time. And so I looked around New York and I found the most popular card shop was a place called The Dugout in Brooklyn. And so I took the subway out to Brooklyn and I was staying at a little youth hostel up in kind of like Harlem area. And took this subway out there, went into this card shop, and it was just like, it felt like I was in an episode of The Sopranos or something. It was like they had a couple like kind of, what do you call those, little stools in there, and there were these kind of older guys that kind of, you could tell they sat there all day long, and they're friends with the card shop owner who had been there for like 20 or 30 years, and they had junk wax there. They had some cool stuff, some Mickey Mantles. And I go in there.
Were card shops the original sober bar? Like
Sober bar?
Yeah, sober bar. Yeah. Were they like the original place to hang out? You don't drink, and it's just like the.
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
that sounds
It's just
cool.
a couple wise guys sitting in there, just all, and
What a cool
everyone
culture
had
thing.
really
I don't know,
thick
it's cool.
accents, and I was loving it. I went in there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to walk in there, buy a few packs, and leave. And we kind of got in this whole conversation. I was asking them about these boxes of junk wax. I don't know what ended up happening, but it was like my first great card shop I'd ever really been to. And I spent the next probably 2 hours in the shop, maybe 3 hours, and we were just talking. And I bought a box of 88 tops. And I mean, this was like $15, $20, but I had no money. And so I was actually stressing about opening these packs, trying to find a Conseco and a McGuire and like some basic kind of, cards that are worth like 5 or 10 cents. And it was cool because the guys kind of all got around me and we were opening them up together. And I don't know, it just felt like it was out of an episode of Cheers where everybody knows your name, They made me feel very welcomed. And then they're like, hey, after this, we're going to go to this bar down the street where we all go because there's a Rangers hockey game. You should totally come with us. And so here I was with these guys that were from completely different lives, completely different worlds. And they're inviting me to go with them to this bar to hang out and watch the game because now we're friends because of these baseball cards.
And you took a picture with them, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I have
I'll
one
pop it
photo from the card shop. I mean, it's kind of grainy and it's like
It's cool, though.
But it's that one moment in time where I felt like I belonged to this kind of group, and they made me feel very welcome. And sure enough, I went with them to this bar, hung out for a bit, didn't stay for the whole game, and went back to my youth hostel. And then the next morning, jumped on my plane to England, and actually, when I got to England at this point, the business school pulls me aside and they're like, they know that you left the country to go get your visa updated, and they're still going to deport you because technically you broke their rule.
Oh, damn.
And because somebody at the registrar's office totally, turned me in because they discovered that the visa stamp in my passport that I then turned in was after I had started class. And so it became this whole thing. In fact, the business school was like, Brian, pack your bags, get yourself ready. You're most likely going to be deported to
I
them.
imagine your heart just fell to your stomach. You
Yeah,
must
it
have
felt terrible.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
No, I was terrible. I had made all these new friends. I'd been there for maybe 2.5 weeks.
You just moved out of your grandma's place.
I had just moved out of grandma's
man.
house and then my parents' house in Germany. And
Jeez,
I was
man.
like, and I genuinely started thinking, what
sucks.
am I going to do with my life now? I'm going to have to leave the school. I'm going to have to start life all over again. And so I was expecting, I remember packing my suitcases, sitting there on my bed, and I was waiting for the van to pull up and from the home office to deport me because that's what they told me was going to happen.
So
And
what happened?
So the next day, I get called in again by the the vice dean of the business school, who is an American, and she goes, "Listen, we have some people in the home office, which is people that make these decisions." And she goes, "We have some people over there. We were able to pull a few strings."
Like Border Patrol? British Border Patrol?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. They're kind of the Department of Homeland Security / State Department kind of thing for England, and they're like, "We pulled some strings, and you're going to be able to stay."
That's incredible.
And then they
story.
reprimanded the person at the registrar's office at my college who had turned me in.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're like, why
Wow.
are you doing this?
Reprimanded them.
Our whole goal is to try to help the students.
Yeah.
You were trying to get the student banished for breaking a very small rule. And the law had only just changed and we hadn't been made aware of it yet.
Wow.
And so they went after this person who had turned me in. And it was funny because I ran into her in a hallway like 10 years later when I went back for a reunion, and she saw me and she still remembered.
Sorry about it.
Yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. I
No
shouldn't
way.
have done that. Yeah. It was so funny. So the most awkward conversation ever, but I ended up getting to stay. And it was cool is that after that, that great experience at that card shop in Brooklyn, I started ordering boxes of cards from there and other places and had them sent to my dorm room in Cambridge.
I'm just trying to think about if that happened, where would Brian be today?
If he got deported?
If he got deported, he didn't go to Cambridge. He didn't do road trip.
Oh no, you
obviously-
would have moved back in with grandma. You would have probably had some really interesting, like senior citizen related invention.
Actually, I know
or
exactly
business.
what I would have done.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
You would have worked for Nike.
Boom, you nailed it.
You would have
right.
gone in early in Nike in the marketing department, I'm
yeah.
assuming,
Yeah, it was the
and then
marketing
you
group.
would have boom, just built your way up.
Yeah.
No, I think you and your grandma would have gotten together. You and your grandma would have been co-CEOs for some new venture in the senior citizen living space with some new business, new approach to the whole industry that would have. You would have raised money for it.
Well, sorry, Colin. I think Sam was right because when I
okay.
first got to Cambridge, I actually got a letter from the people at Nike because I had interviewed there right around the same time I was applying for business schools.
Yeah.
And this marketing group at Nike actually reached out and said, actually, you're a perfect fit for this. We have a position for you. We'd love to bring you in. And I said, I'm in business school now. And so didn't end up taking that job.
Crazy. I wonder what life would have been.
But that's what I would have
Yeah.
beelined for is I had this real desire to live in Portland and work at Nike and do that whole. If I was going to do a corporate career, it was either going to be Apple or Nike.
And why was it Nike for you?
Because I've always been a shoe collector. I've collected shoes from the same time I was collecting cards.
But why specifically Nike? There's like lots of other shoe companies out there.
Because it was the only shoe company. Like I was really into their sneakers from day one. I mean, I grew up in Beaverton, Oregon as a kid. That's where Nike World headquarters is.
Absolutely.
Everything
Sorry
in
for
my
my
town.
Pumas.
I know this is offensive, and I don't
were
even
free.
know what these are.
Adidas.
These are Reeboks.
Oh shoot, my bad. I don't even know what
These
I'm
were
wearing.
given to me on a commercial I did, and they told me to keep my wardrobe.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They're so comfy.
That's okay. Nobody's perfect, man. You know? And no, so like the Nike thing was I grew up in Beaverton, Oregon when I was a kid for like 9 years. And so I developed this real attachment to the brand and to the design. I bought my first pair of sneakers with my own cash from babysitting. And when I, back in 1990, and I still, have those pair of shoes upstairs. And so I just became addicted to the whole style of the Nike Air kind of shoe. And so I'd always thought if entrepreneurship didn't work out for me, I was going to work at Nike.
You just have to pull Joel Egerton and create a box to go and do superpositioning and then
Colin's been watching a lot of Dark Matter lately.
Yes, it's a cool show all about like the path not taken, but then it gets real scientific. And then what if you can actually observe the path not taken? So really geeky, really deep, really sci-fi, but set in reality.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, highly
No,
recommend.
No, it's cool. That's something I wish I could do for sure.
What?
What you just said.
Oh yeah, I mean
Absolutely.
that sounds like yeah, we all ponder that.
Yeah,
like,
of
what-
course.
To know
what-
the different paths.
Yeah, because we all come to an impasse. What is it that makes you choose one over the other path?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the fun
Or
thing
you could
about
be
us.
Yogi Berra, and if you come to the fork in the road, just take it.
I love that quote.
That's
Any
cool.
Yogi Berra quote is a great quote. But I do think it's funny that whenever we think of what our alternate paths in life would be, for some reason, the alternate paths in our head are always
Sound
like
better.
the best version of all possible
Always.
worlds, right?
The grass is always greener.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, well, if I had done the fork in the road thing, the other thing, then I'd be a bazillionaire and, be supermodels all over the place and Ferraris all over the place. And, but because I didn't do that, I'm now living this life. But who knows what would have happened if you'd gone down the other paths, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
I, for one, am very happy I went down this path exactly as it happened because now we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about that the last couple of days, walking along the beach and thinking that this life that's currently happening, I'm really, really happy about it. Even though there were some ridiculously terrible things that happened along the way, for everything to be where it is now, I'm very, very pleased about it because I love where everything is at and where everything with M1NT, for instance, is going. But that was a good initial question for this initial podcast.
Yeah.
Is what's the most impactful card shop?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to bounce it. I know you haven't been to as many card shops as Brian, but what has been your more exceptional experience? at a
Well,
card shop?
I think when I think of going to card shops, I think of like the awesome Rust Belt road trip we took around Chicago, Detroit. We were in Wisconsin. Where did we get? We were all up there, that part of the country, like a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah,
And it was like
Sam and I flew
springtime.
into Cincinnati,
Yep.
and then we picked you up in
Wisconsin.
Detroit?
It was outside of Detroit, and we just went
Michigan,
through
yeah.
that whole part of the country and went to all these card shops in these small towns in that area. Yeah, we probably went to like a half dozen or so.
Yeah.
And I just like the feeling of being on the road and then going to a shop and then just feeling like it was like a marker. It's like this is this town's shop or that town shop, and seeing the differences among them. And then in many ways they're all the same too, right? Because they all sell the same stuff, but some sell a little different variety of each thing, but everyone has the core stuff. And everyone has the same fond memories of watching sports as children. It was a cool way to like experience Americana and the American spirit, really, that I never quite captured before in that kind of way.
Yeah, it's a special way to be able to see the country and connect to the people that are there. I mean, remember when we were in Southside Chicago and we hung out with Bridgeport Hobby for the first time?
Yeah, that was
Right
cool.
before the White Sox game.
Yeah, and it was just getting this real vibe of what Southside Chicago is. And we learned a lot from the owner. I can't remember his name right now, but really cool guy. How about you, Sam? What comes to mind? What jumped in your head when you asked me the question?
Man, please forgive me. I cannot remember the location nor the name of the shop. But it was on our first road trip when we were heading out doing the big road trip for a card shop tour across the country. We were it was Central America, I believe.
Central America?
Central America.
Ecuador?
In
As
the
in
middle.
Nicaragua?
In the middle is Center America. Sorry,
Like the
bad.
Midwest?
My bad. Geography's not my thing. I'm so sorry. It was this Mickey Mantle focused shop. It had Mickey
MM7 in Oklahoma City.
Thank you so much. And those guys were super, super cool. They were super knowledgeable about. They had so many Mickey Mantles out.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the first Mickey Mantle 1952 tops that you ever
We're
held.
Mickey Mantle boys.
Yeah, we're Mickey Mantle boys.
That's
exactly.
I remember he said that.
They were super cool and super knowledgeable. And then you opened a box of, oh my gosh.
86 Donruss.
That's right. And they had so much fun with you. And I think that was kind of our first experience, at least with me filming with you, opening boxes of cards with the card shop owners.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And then they gave you a slab.
Yeah, that was my very favorite time ever opening packs with a card shop
It
owner.
was super cool. I don't know. It was a really fun memory.
Because he got wrapped up into it. He got
did.
really excited about it.
did, yeah.
And because we didn't find the Conseco in the box. And I think that made him feel like he wanted to contribute something.
Yeah.
Because I was going to buy the box. I said, I want to buy that box. Let's find Conseco.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember. I don't think he even had me pay for the box.
No,
I
he
kept-
didn't. He didn't have you pay for the box. He just gave you
Then he gave me that pack of Leaf, the
which
box of
had-
Leaf that was like a repack. It
Yeah,
was like
had
the OG repacks.
a Luca 9.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we opened it and it was there was a Luca base 9.5 Beckett
Yeah.
rookie of his. And
And at the time, that was at more of the peak of the
I
Luca
think
value.
it was like $1,000.
It was. It was an extremely kind gift.
And he was like, "No, you take this." And I'm like, "What is
I just
going
met you.
on, man?
Yeah.
I don't like. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like what?" And I remember there were some people like later that knew like his brothers or who he owned the card shop with, and they're like, "Yeah, his brothers were trying to talk him out of it."
No,
And
totally.
he got wrapped up in it. We were having the best time ever.
Well, like this is a horrible kind of like example, but like if that was like a car shop, like shop, like a Mazda dealership, you essentially came in, test drove a car, and he gave you a car.
Yeah.
Because he had so much fun, and that's just something you don't ever find in any place.
Man, we had such a good day that day.
It was incredible. And then the other one that comes into mind was just not necessarily the shop itself, but it was just the experience with Joe Jackson in Knoxville, Tennessee. That was really, really cool.
That was very special.
Yeah, just a follower of yours who was very excited to meet you, and we drove out of our way to go to Knoxville, Tennessee to meet him, and had a great experience at the card shop. And he was just stoked, and we were stoked, and he's just turned out to be a excellent dude.
Yeah, he's a good friend now.
Yeah, super great guy.
Yeah,
So,
it's cool that you said the MM7 shop. Like that was one of the ones that immediately popped into mind when you asked the question.
Really?
Yeah, it really was.
that's so funny.
Yeah, it's those ones where you walk away and you had just had some special experience and you're driving and you think about it for a while. It also helped that we watched like Dune that night.
That's true.
And,
That's true. We were in good mood.
And we stayed at a really cool hotel.
yeah, that is true.
In the theater, was that the time when it was out? in
Yeah, so
theaters?
Dune had just been released, and Sam and I were rolling through Oklahoma City, and so we went and saw Dune. We stayed at the AC Hotel downtown. We were just walking around. It was a beautiful night, and then we went to MM7, and that's all I remember of Oklahoma City. But I remember just having such a great time in Oklahoma City.
Totally. I don't know if they have a YouTube channel, MM7, but they totally should, because that guy was
So knowledgeable.
super knowledgeable, very charismatic, and he was very interesting.
Yeah, and I didn't realize all that stuff about Mickey Mantle being from Commerce, Oklahoma, and
Yeah, they were.
and they were just. I think that's what it was. Is they had a whole collection of Mickey Mantle cards, and I think it was like three brothers that were running the place.
Yes.
And they had all made a bunch of money. They were wealthy guys. And so they weren't like running this card shop because they were trying to make cash from it. They were running it because they just loved their collection. So they treat the card shop almost like a museum that they can also hang out with. They can have friends drop by, and then that pays for itself by just selling some packs on the side. So I really had a great time there.
They're incredible, and again that PSA, I don't know what the grade was, but the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card that he let you hold.
Yeah, he gave me I was holding like a PSA 3, and I wanted to buy it like right there and then. And I really thought about it.
How much? Do you remember how much it was priced?
Yeah,
back then?
it was $130,000 at the time.
Crazy.
But it crossed my mind.
Wow. What would that go for now, 4 years later?
I don't know.
I have no
PS3?
idea.
I don't know. I
Steadily
used
increased.
to really track the Mickey Mantle PSA prices, but when I look at them too closely after a while, I starting to plan how I can make the purchase, and so I have to not look at them.
Yes.
because I've become I want to
Obsessed.
go and
It's
buy one.
very tempting.
Yeah, I get very tempted. Remember that day I almost bought the Mickey Mantle when we were in Georgia at Trilith one day?
Yep, I do remember that. I do remember
I was
that.
like, I could do it, Sam. I could do this right now. I could buy this guy. I could buy this card right now. I could have a Mickey Mantle like PSA 3 or 4 or whatever it
business
was.
asset.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, yeah. I kept thinking, it's business. It's a necessary business expense. We're gonna need to show a Mickey Mantle PSA 4 in a mint case. I got to buy this right now.
Eventually, there's going to be all Mickey Mantles will be in mint cases. Eventually,
Of course.
of course. Speaking of Mickey Mantle, some more. Forgive me. The name of the gentleman up north in L.A. who has
Marina Del Rey.
Marina Del Rey, who has all those Mickey Mantles.
Oh, Maddie
Amazing.
C.
Oh,
Amazing
my
collection.
Goodness gracious, holding those cards were just
Yeah, that was a pretty magical day. Yeah, we the three of us. I have a friend on social media, Maddie C, and I've been following him for longer than he was following me. I think I followed him like 6 months before he finally, followed me back.
coolest collection ever.
And I followed him because he just has this pure love of the cards that he cares about, whether it's like a $10 card or $1 million card. He just really loves the nuances of cards. And I got the opportunity to sit down with him one day with the three of us and him and his brother in Marina Del Rey. And so we're sitting there at this coffee shop, and he like unloads like ridiculous, probably hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of autographed Mickey Mantle, like rookie cards and second year and third year cards. And we're just sitting there out in the sun with these incredible collection. And I remember talking to him and his brother, and out of anyone I've ever met over the last 12 years in my time of collecting, I've never felt more of a kinship with somebody where the way I view cards is the exact way that him and his brother view cards. And it was like, oh my gosh, I just found my card like Soul Brothers or whatever. And
They're super cool guys.
super cool guys.
Yeah. Really interesting, super knowledgeable,
and loved ripping junk wax.
specifically his brother. Oh my gosh, I love that he calls his brother the tooth fairy because he'll go and grab a box and just leave cash and go rip it.
That's awesome.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to buy a Mickey Mantle card. Just
Eventually
put it into
we
a
will.
mint case.
Absolutely
Yeah.
we will, for sure. I'm excited for that day.
Yeah.
That will be a good day.
We already have one.
That's
but
true.
it's a
Yeah.
1957.
I want the
I believe.
1951 Bowman and the 1952 tops.
Yes, the classic.
It's a matter of time.
Okay, I have another card related question, and I'm sorry we're specifically focusing on
No,
cards.
that's
Because
great. I know we were going to talk today all about the ongoing story of how we made the mint case happen. I was going to talk about the prototype number 2, but these questions are even better. We're going to get to prototype number 2 another day. it
Well,
looks like.
I just wanted to ask you too. We have the mint display that will be coming out in the near future. Specifically, if you owned your own mint display, which 5 cards? And I know there's a lot of variations you would want, but if you could only have one mint display, what are the
5 cards?
What are the 5 cards you'd have behind you on the mint display? I know it's a very, very hard question.
Shouldn't be asking that kind of question. I
know. Is there a
We don't
card-
have enough time for this kind of answer.
Dude, the podcast can't be 3 hours long. man.
rapid fire? Rapid fire. Absolutely.
No, it'd be my top 5 favorite cards.
Okay, what are those top 5 favorite cards?
Well, I have to. Number 1, of course, is my Frank Thomas 1990 Leaf.
Beautiful.
My 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card.
Great.
My 1984 Topps Don Mattingly rookie. My 2000, I'm going to say 2001 Bowman Chrome Auto Refractor of Albert Pujols.
Cool.
And
Great card.
And after the last few days of being at Dodgers game, I'm going to put my top number 10 card up to number 5.
Oh, wow.
My Shohei Ohtani 2018 Bowman Chrome Refractor Auto number to 100, the Atomic Refractor.
Beautiful.
Boom.
Great.
That'd be my top
selection.
5.
I love it.
I have a much simpler approach.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
Much simpler.
They would be all Mets.
much less
It'd be
less nerdy.
Francisco Lindor. Francisco
be-
Lindor. Francisco
some
Lindor.
version of that.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of making it like a 5, like a all on the same team, so that there's like a colorful, there's a chromatic, there's a theme. So yeah, it would be like if I could go back to when I first started loving baseball, like in the mid to late 90s, I'd probably take the 5 greatest players from each of those teams that I loved at that time. Initially, I know I'm wearing a Mets hat, but initially I was a Yankees fan for a couple of years. That's just because we got free tickets and it was the dynasty, and we were just watching excellent baseball every week. My dad was an electrician, got paid in Yankee tickets by one of his clients, so we would go sit behind third base, second row. It was insane. Core memories there, but I would probably assemble the 5 greatest players from each of the teams that I started watching baseball. Going back to, I guess, call it like 95 to 96, maybe start there. And then each year progressing and doing another 5 display for each year. And then probably around 2000, 2001, make the switch to from the Yankees to the Mets, and then assembling each year my favorite 5 players from each starting Mets lineup from then until now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that approach.
And then I really want to, I hope one day we can really modify the display to where the LED lights are customizable, so that you can have it really, reflect your team's colors.
Oh, for sure. That's going to be fun.
And speaking of teams, he's wearing a Mets hat. I'm wearing a Dodgers hat.
Yeah, tensions are high right now.
Tensions are high.
Yeah.
However, this is a Brooklyn Dodgers hat, so it's a little bit closer, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Mets.
we're all in New York right now.
And then I told the story about the Brooklyn. I totally forgot. I'm wearing the Brooklyn Dodgers hat. in
100%.
Brooklyn. How about you, Sam?
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh no,
What
but
were
there
you
is a
gonna
reason why they're sitting so
say?
far
Yeah,
apart.
we're sitting on opposite sides of the couch
NLCS
right now.
1-1. Series goes back to New York tomorrow.
And
Heck
Dodgers
yeah.
are going to win it.
Heck yeah. Gosh.
Dodgers are going to lose it.
Sam, how about you? Top 5.
Oh,
what
man.
would you put?
It's tough. 2 of them are specifically because I didn't grow up collecting these cards, but I think it'd be so cool to have them up there. One would be the Topps Chrome Tom Brady rookie card.
Ooh, nice.
Beautiful.
The
And
Topps Chrome?
Topps Chrome. Beautiful.
Bowman Chrome?
Bowman Chrome.
Bowman Chrome.
My apologies. The Bowman Chrome. Tom Brady rookie card.
Refractor?
Refractor, of course.
Ooh.
And then my apologies, the Topps Chrome 1996 moment Topps Chrome Kobe Bryant rookie card.
Nice.
That would be really, really cool.
Good answer.
And then
Such a good looking card.
it's beautiful.
Those are two of the greatest cards ever.
They're
Just full
so
stop.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would have for my Yu-Gi-Oh fans out there, the Blue Eyes White Dragon OG card in a mint case, and then for sure now this is where it gets tough. I'm just gonna make it tough for myself. I am gonna throw the 1952 Mickey Mantle Topps rookie card in there just because we need to have it in a mint case.
Yeah.
And then it's between the iconic Charizard
Ooh.
for Pokemon or my brother's favorite card, which I'm going to go with just because it'd be cool to have my brother's favorite card in the main case, which is
Go Max.
the Mew promo card Koro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a stunning Pokemon card, and it deserves to be in the main case.
No, Sam has a great relationship with his very awesome brother.
Yeah, he's the
And
man. He's the man.
Yeah, Max is the coolest guy.
Excellent
Makes
chef.
the best steak.
He does make the
He's an
best.
incredible
Excellent
steak.
chef.
And he's
Great
good
guy.
taste in cards.
It's very true.
And close.
No. Yeah, he's very
And bottles.
it's true. He's very thrifty, and he has a great sense for fashion, and he loves cards.
And he likes to drive fast like I do.
He does. You two have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
It's true.
Big muscles.
Huge, just jacked.
I was thinking about while you're talking, I was about your favorite, top 5 cards you'd want to have. It did bring into my mind, like more card shops keep dropping in my brain,
Right?
And I think about different parameters of it, like my favorite card shop owner. So one shop I really like is Ross Cards in Encinitas.
Best.
And the reason I like the card shop is because it's got the coolest, nicest card shop owner who's been just really good to the three of us, took us out for dinner one night, and just really easy to talk to. It made me feel like, okay, this is the next generation of card shop owners. I hope card shops are run by guys like Jake Ross.
And he's all about education for the younger collectors.
Yeah, he's so good to kids.
Super
I mean, he's
cool.
got his own kid. Another one, I think, the other one's just born.
Wow.
So he's got 2 kids now. And so I think, seeing him interact with the kids at the Encinitas card shop is just phenomenal. He knows how to do it right. So he does these trade nights. He brings people in. He has a great relationship with his customers. I mean, he called me the other night on the way, like I was going to the Padres game. He was going to the Padres game with one of his customers, and they were going to rip packs at the game. And he's just doing it right. So I have to give a big shout out to his Ross Cards shop in Encinitas, because I've never seen a card shop managed by such a good guy, Or, I think about the card shop in Owl City, Tennessee with the old guy.
Of course.
That's a whole nother...
Yeah, that's a cool story.
That's a whole nother day
Yeah,
story.
I think you need to retell that story on Instagram and TikTok. And
Yeah,
I think
it might be time.
I think it's time. It's a really cool story.
Yeah, but that's the thing about these card shops. There's so many cool ones all across the country. Great experiences. I mean, one recently. I walked into a card shop in Memphis. I think it was called Triple Crown, and the guy didn't want me to film there. And at first, he kind of was really prickly with me, and it was just me, just him, small card shop. And I asked him about what his favorite card was, and it was like a 83 Topps traded Darryl Strawberry, something very simple like that. And we started talking about junk wax, and all of a sudden, boom, we're sharing this bond. And I was in there for a long time. I always make sure I buy something because I'm like, I feel like that's something I want to do. And so I bought a little blaster box of Topps Chrome or whatever. But I had this great experience with this guy that was from Memphis, born and raised his whole life there. And so I got this really cool personal kind of flavor of Memphis, Tennessee. And I got some local stories, and I got this local kind of experience. And so even though when I first walked in there, I was like, okay, this is not my kind of card shop, I walked out of there an hour later going, man, I just had the best time ever. I think I called you right afterward and said, man, I had the best time. I don't have footage to send you for you to edit, but that was a really cool thing. And so I've had a lot of those kind of card shops.
Yeah, and again, the camera makes people nervous sometimes. It's
Yeah, of
understandable.
course.
Especially the older dogs or the older generation, it's
hard to
just
be
strange.
yourself sometimes on camera.
And I think of all these great card shops you've been talking about, there are some, in our experience, that are quite the opposite. That are quite the opposite. We ain't going to put
We're not gonna
anybody
speak
on
names.
blast, but I think.
Are you sure?
I think
totally blast some
Oh
of these
no!
people.
I think maybe next time we'll talk about why certain card shops.
I would have no problem telling
We're
people
so-
why a few of these card shops are actually terrible.
Yeah, I think we could get into it because we've had some pretty awful shared experiences at some card shops where you're just scratching your head as to how is this still around?
Yeah,
You know?
well, I think some of them should go out of business.
Yeah.
I think there's some card shops I've been to that have been run by genuinely bad people, or the shop itself is a bad place or has a bad aura about it, like a bad feeling there, or just astronomical gouging kind of, obviously just trying to take advantage of people.
Yeah, we could get into that next time. I think 'Cause
Obviously, you can see I
that's a
have
lot.
some
That's a
strong
long.
opinions on this topic. After you've been to like 200 plus card shops, you're gonna have some strong opinions, not just about the good ones, but also some that need
Yeah,
to be shut down.
let's get into it
Yeah.
next time. And I think
For sure.
we can. I know we at one point we're considering kind of part of our social media sharing a ranking, if you will, of our favorite card shops and why, or like what makes a great card shop. And then you ranking it based on your parameters, and then that gives us a cool. It's just part of that's just a small insight into kind of some social media strategy. We try to do lots of different things, but that was one thing that was on the table at one point.
Yeah.
But we can do that in this format now.
Exactly.
It's true because I think a lot of the content that we've all created has been focused around keeping the hobby positive and keeping the hobby good, and the negative intention of telling people about these card shops that aren't necessarily great may not necessarily seem like a positive thing. However, if you're bringing your kid to a card shop, you want that card shop experience to be positive,
And you're spending
good.
money.
And you're spending money, and so it's good to know about certain card shops that aren't necessarily at that level that they should be at.
Yeah,
for customer service.
That's the thing, is it the foundation of all these thoughts of exposing these things is actually comes from a positive place.
You're trying to be
because I want to
helpful.
improve the conditions.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of the things I want to do in the hobby over the next 5 years, the real goal of it, whether it's M1NT or these channels or podcasts or whatever, is to actually improve things.
Absolutely.
The goal is to always improve things.
We went to a card shop yesterday, and gosh, I'm so sorry.
We were in Carlsbad.
Yeah, and the guy there, I forget the guy. I'm sorry, I can never remember names. David at the card shop that we were at.
Coast Collectibles in Coastal Collectibles in Carlsbad.
Thank you so much. He was the most wonderful,
Yeah, good guy.
charismatic dude ever.
Instantly warm.
Just okay, this is how any card shop should be.
Yeah, that was actually a perfect example of a card shop. I mean, to be fair, they've only been in business for 3 months,
It doesn't matter.
but they are doing it so right.
Absolutely, they just killing it.
Or like AA Mint. Come on, we got to.
Oh, AA Mint. Now that is just an experience.
AA Mint is a perfect card shop.
Wow.
How they are now. I didn't like the first one that they had, and then they made a brand new shop, and that one they killed it.
I mean,
And it's mostly because
Father-son
of
duo.
the father-son duo, and Aaron is such a great guy.
wow, what a dude.
What
And
a
he's
good
young
guy.
too. He's
Yeah,
21.
No,
right?
if he's super young, and I hope he's running the whole hobby in 20 years.
He's a monster. He's just so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big F1
That's
guy.
who you want to be the face of the
Oh,
hobby.
totally.
There's guys like him.
Absolutely. Completely agree. Yeah. Have you been to AA Mint yet? I forgot. You'll love it.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Sam and I went there for their grand opening.
Grand opening.
Yeah. And we just, nicest people. They invited us to come back
Even
the
their
next day.
security guard was nice.
Yeah.
He's super cool guy.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
No, hiring's so important.
And it's got great aesthetics and the whole feeling of the place. In fact, when I order like boxes of Bowman Chrome Topps Chrome, a lot of times I order it directly from them.
Oh, you do? That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I do.
That's cool.
Because their prices have always been amazing. But yeah, I could literally wax on about card shops for probably hours and hours because
Pardon the pun.
Nice. Nice.
Wow, that was a fantastic.
It's a great name for a podcast. Wax on.
Wax on. Yeah, there's probably a podcast already in the card space called Wax on.
If not, you're welcome.
There should be. But yeah, I could talk about this for hours because as soon as you think of one card shop, it pulls in a memory of another one. But what an amazing way to experience different microcosm of culture and people across this country. And even in Europe. One of my favorite card shops is in South London.
Oh, that guy's super nice too.
Jamie.
Awesome lovely
guy.
guy.
And from what I understand, there's card shops in Germany. There's one in Thessalonica, Greece.
For sure.
There's a bunch in China. There's a bunch in Japan, Korea,
Singapore,
Australia.
All over the world.
So all over the world, right? And so it's nice visiting card shops. For me, it really started out not just trying to find cards I was looking for at PAX, but it was really also a chance to experience these microcosms of culture wherever I was.
Yeah.
And it really has been that. But anyways, everyone, that was podcast episode 7. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.